Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the MDE Lead Poisoning Prevention Program's online lead rental certification and accreditation training. And this is going to be for our new online databases that you guys will be using that will eliminate the paper processes. So we're excited that you're joining us, and we have a lot of information to cover. I'm going to turn it over to our presenter, Mr. Bala Villagala.
Thanks, Michelle. Hello, everyone. My name is Bala, and let me quickly share my screen. I hope my voice is clear to everyone and everyone is able to see my screen. And the application you are looking at is a training environment lead rental certification accreditation online application. And currently we are on the home page of that application. So if you see on this home page, we have other menu items like courses, certificates, help, and login. So home page is just a quick introduction about the Maryland department. And then if you click on the other menu items like courses, you'll see the high level view or the preview of the courses that are scheduled related to this lead rental services. And if you click on help, I would not go for certificates because it's not more important for the audience we currently have. So I'll just move on to the help menu item. Here you will see some important topics which you need to create a profile and log into the system and how to view different information inside the system. So if you click on help, you'll see some topics related to how to create a profile for a user who is completely new to these services, who do not have any existing licenses, how to reset password, how to view the courses, and if you are a contractor or service provider, how to create a profile to manage your business or services. And there are a few other important topics which you can refer for self-employed users. And moving on to the other menu item, which is login. So if you click on login, you'll see the login page. Once you create the profile, once you have the login credentials set up done, you can use those credentials to log in by entering those details. And if you are a completely new user to lead renter without any existing training, without any existing licenses or affiliation with this department, you have to register using this button. And if you are a user with any existing license, then you have to click this link, which if you are having an existing accreditation or if you have an existing training card information with respect to these services, and if you need to register and create a profile into the system, you have to click on this link. So right now we assume that we are the users who have existing licenses or services with this department. So I will show you how to register based on that scenario. So what I will do is, the scenario is I am an existing inspector. I hold some licenses. So I have to create a profile and get into this system. 1 second, I think my voice is too low. I hope it is good now. All right. So what I will do is I will click on this link. Excuse me. If I click here, you will land on a page where it will show you how to create your profile using your existing credentials. So if you see here, when I click that link, there are two tabs. One is initializing a profile for a single individual user, or initializing a profile to manage any contractor or service provider business who provide these services. So assume I'm an inspector and I'm doing some already providing some inspector services inspections on this for this department. So what I will do is I'll come here. I'll provide the required information, like I need to provide my first name, I need to provide my last name, I need to provide my date of birth, and I can provide my accreditation number or I can provide my training card number. So both are not required at the same time, but you have to provide either of them. So I'm providing my license number. And if, let me just give you wrong information. If my profile already exists, if my record already exists with this department, if I search, I will go into a profile creation page. If my profile do not exist, if this system is unable to find any existing record, then you'll see this message that we could not find any existing record. So let me just try to give a valid credential that exists in this system. So I'll click on search. If the system is able to find my record, you will land on this personal profile page, and you'll see some details like your personal profile information, your date of birth, if you have your social, or if you have contact information, your address information, all these details, if they exist, if you find a match, using that match, we'll pull all that existing information and display it to you on the screen. So you can cross verify. And if you think this is matching to your existing record, what you have to do now is you need to provide your email address in the contact information. So this email address which you provide here will be your username. So this will be your username, and any communication in future will happen to this email. So you need to make sure you give the right active email address here, which you normally use. So I'm giving a dummy email. So system could identify my profile. Now I have to give my email address to set up my login profile. So I provided my email address. I checked the residential and mailing address. And I would like to mention one thing. If you think your existing address is incorrect and if you need to change it, you can change it after successfully creating your login profile. Like once you get into the system, you can go to your profile page and you can update your address. So you don't need to worry that your address is wrong and you don't want to create your profile. You can go ahead and create it. Once you get into the system, you can go to your profile and change the address. So that's one point you need to remember. And now I provided the email address. I will click on save profile. So once the email address is cross-checked, if there is no existing email address which you have provided, that will be registered and you will land on this page showing that congratulations, your new account is created. And to the email address, you will receive a temporary password. So as I gave a dummy email, I'll just pull it from the backend just for training purpose. So this temporary password will be in your inbox. So you can go and check for that password. So what you have to do is you have to enter the email address as your email username, and you have to enter your temporary password and click on login. And then you will be directed to a reset password screen where you need to set up your secure password. So you have to re-enter the temporary password. And now you have to provide a new password. And if you see, there are some restrictions that the new secure password you need to set up should be 8 characters minimum, one upper, one lower, and one number, and you have to use any of these special characters. So matching to these, I'll just provide a secure password. And I click on reset. If the password is successful, you'll land on this page. That password is updated. Now you can log in using your secure password. So I will enter my new secure password, which I have just updated. And I will click on login. And if you're logging into the system from a laptop or any desktop for the first time, you'll be requested to enter a OTP and make sure the device is trustable. So as this user is logging into this system from this laptop for the first time, you'll be getting one OTP to your email, and you need to get that OTP and enter here. So for now, I'll just pull it out from the backend. You need to enter that one-time password and make sure you check this and then register. If you don't check this from your like the device which you think should be trustable, and you just click on register and login. If you come back and if you log in again, the application will ask to enter the OTP. So if you think you're logging using a personal laptop or office laptop which is trustable, make sure you check this and click on register. So now if you see, I have successfully created my login profile. Now I am into the application, and when you log into the application, you'll see some tiles which is on the dashboard. See, this is your dashboard. You'll see some tiles related to training courses that are offered by training providers. You'll see the exam schedules scheduled by the MDE team, and you'll see some tiles where you can apply for accreditation licenses. You see some tiles related to applications you have submitted or saved. You can look in this tile. If you have any existing licenses, you can click on this tile and see what licenses you possess. And one another tile is payments. Like if you need to do any payment, then you can use this tile. And one important tile which I would like to mention is inspections and certifications. If you see, for my profile, I got this on my dashboard once I created my profile. System has identified my profile, and system has identified that I possess an inspector license. So if I possess any existing active inspector license or supervisor license, I'll get access to this tile. If you create your profile, if you log into the system for the very first time, if you don't see this tile on your dashboard, it means you do not possess any active inspector or supervisor license. So for me, as an inspector, I possess one active license, so our system could identify me, and that's why system could give me access to this. So if I click on my accreditations, okay, I'll just click on select. System automatically pulled all my existing licenses. So I possess 2 licenses. So that information is automatically pulled out and it is displayed in my accreditations. So once you create the profile through the existing user workflow, you should be able to see your existing licenses in this tile. So I'll go back to the dashboard, and I just want to revisit to the same statement that if you see, I possess an inspector technician license active. That is the reason I have access to the tile where I can schedule inspections and create inspection certificates. So, and if I need to print out my license, this is my existing license. If I want a digital license certificate, you can click on this green icon here. It will generate a PDF that will be auto downloaded to your system, and that will be your digital accreditation license. So I clicked on this icon, a PDF is downloaded to my system. If I open that, you will see my certificate that this is to certify that so and so inspector has met the requirements for inspector technician. This is my license expiry date. And when I took the training for this license, who is my training provider, when I took the course, and when this certificate was generated for me, and what is my accreditation. So this digital certificate can be pulled out or downloaded or saved by clicking on this green icon. So you will have access to this all the time when you get into your dashboard. And then, as I said, in the left menu, you'll see personal profile and business profile. If you click on personal profile, you will see the details that are already pulled and saved. And as I mentioned before, if you need to change your phone number or if you need to change the address, you can come here and update it. And if you think mailing address is same as your residential address, you can check it. Or if you think it's different, you can uncheck it and provide a different mailing address. So like this, you can update your profile. And one important topic or information you need to see here is your first name, your last name, your date of birth, and your email address. This key information is not accessible for you to change once you create the profile. If you need these key attributes to be changed, you need to request the MDE team that you need to have that updated. If you have a SSN already entered and saved, and if you need to change it, you need to send a request to MDE team. So these key attributes are not accessible to any user to change on their own. You need to request MDE team to change it. But the contact information or address information are accessible and you can update them. And as an inspector, I have created my profile. I could see my existing licenses by going to this tile. And now what I would like to show is if I want to pursue a new license, if I want to apply for a new license, an initial. So if that license requires me to attend some courses, if that license requires me to attend some exams and pass the exam, for that, what I have to do is I need to identify and find the courses I need. So you can click on select here on this tile to see the courses that are scheduled by different training providers. So when you click on that select, you'll land on this training courses page and you'll see all the courses that are scheduled by different training providers. And say, for example, you're interested to take any abatement Spanish initial, or let me take a different example, like if you want to take a risk assessor license. So you need to attend a course to get that license, to apply for a license. So for that, you need to register, right? So for that, what you do is you just click on register to this course. That is from this training provider at this location, and you can see the details that are provided. So this is a training environment, so you may see some dummy data. So let me try to find some which I can use. Okay, let me try to go for a inspector technician from this training provider. Let's say I want to register. And if you click register, the training provider will receive a request that so-and-so user is interested to attend that course. The payment for that course, everything will be handled outside this system. So payment for a training course to the training provider should be done separately outside this application. So now I'm sending a request to this training provider to register and sit for that course. So it's a reconfirmation. And once you send that request, you can click on My Training tab here and to see the requests that are pending. Like if you see what I just did is I sent a training request to this inspector technician to this training provider on this date. And that request is still pending. That the training provider has not yet approved for me to attend that course. So you can see this status and communicate to this training provider as needed. So if you go to training, My Training, and you can see if you are eligible to sit for that course. Similarly, say for example, if your training is completed, everything is done, and if you need to sit for exam or register for exam, you will come to this tile on the dashboard. You can click on select. You will see all the exams that are scheduled and available to register. And this page you will see two categories. One set is third-party exams like risk assessor, inspector technician, and all. Other data set is instructor exams. So you'll see all the instructor related exams listed here that are available for you to look based on the schedule. You can just select and register for that exam. If you need to register for instructor exam, say for example, I want to register for instructor exam, I'll just click on select. You'll see exam preview. Okay, what is this exam about? When is the exam and when it is starting and what is the location? Or you can just say register. Yes. So you land on list of my exams and I just selected to attend this exam and you'll see this is added to my exams list. You can see what exams you have registered for. If you click on exams home, you'll see again the list of exams that are scheduled and say if you want to sit for risk assessor third party exam. Like say for example, I'll take inspector technician exam. For this, if I select to register, now you'll see again the exam category details. Okay, this is the exam category, date, time, and location. But for these exams, training is mandatory. If you don't have any related training, you are not allowed to register for the exam. So for inspector technician, I need to have an inspector technician training already registered. So I have to select a required or matching training course that I have registered. If I select incorrect training for a different exam, system will throw validation that training course not match the exam. So you need to have the right training course registered to attend the exam. So for these exams, training is required to even register. So you have to keep that in mind. So now I have registered for this inspector technician on this so date and time. And now what I will show you is I'll just go to my exams and let me go back to the dashboard now. I'll just rewind that. What I just did is I looked for the courses, I registered for courses. I looked for the exams to attend, I registered for the exams. Now the training provider, once the training is completed, they can also get into the system, they will update my score. Like say for example, I'll go to my training, I'll just show some samples here. You see, this is the training course which I just registered, it is in pending status. If the training provider has got my payment and if they agreed and if they approved, my status will be approved here. And once the training is complete, the instructor will update my score and they will say whether I have passed that course or not. Once they do that, I get a card generated. So if you see a training card number here, it means the training provider has updated my score and training provider has generated a training card and they have given me a physical training card. So once they do that and update in the system, you can see that card number as well displayed in your MyTrain. So if the course is completed and if you don't see the training card, it means the training provider has not given you the score and they did not give you the training card. They did not generate the training card for you. So that is important. So if you don't see the card number, then you have to contact the training provider and say that looks like you did not generate the training card. Could you please provide that to me? So that's how you can find this information. Similarly, for the exam, I would like to show a few details here. Like if you go to my exams, this is the exam I sent, I have registered to attend. Say the exam is complete and the score is updated that you have completed this exam on so and so date, and the score is updated by the MDE team for the exam for you. Then you'll see a record like this. You'll see a pay button. Right now here you don't see pay button because for this exam, the score is not updated for you. So if there is no score given to your exam, you will not see pay button to see the score. So if there is any fee involved, you'll see a pay button. So if you want to see whether you have passed that exam, what is your score, what you have to do is you have to click on pay and you'll see the preview of the exam details and say you can pay through our e-payment portal in the system itself for the exam. And you'll be going to this e-payment portal. You can choose different ways of paying the fee. I selected the card, and as this is a training portal, I just give it dummy data. And continue. And I'll just review and confirm. Now payment will be processed, and if the payment is successful, if the $35 is transaction is successful, you will land on successful page, and you'll see the details of the transaction, and these details will be sent to your email also. And now if I click on my exams, now you see that pay button converted into view score. So as the payment is successful of $35, I could see my exam results. And if I click on view score, I will be able to see the details of my exams. and you can print it and save it for your records if required. But this record will be here in your dashboard in My Exams all the time for you. So you can always go back to this tab in My Exams and refer to your score whenever is needed. At the same time, if you see the other record, Visual Inspector Instructor Exam, there is no fee involved. That is why once the exam result is updated, you will see View Score button directly. You don't see a pay button. So if the score is given for this exam, instructor exam, you can see the View Score button directly and you can click and see the results. So that is how you need to manage. If the fee is involved in that exam, to view the score, you need to complete the payment. If the fee is not involved, then you can directly see the score once it is updated. But these will be activated only once the results are provided of the exam. So this is how you can see your exam scores. You can see your training card numbers. So the two main prerequisites for me to apply is done. So I have attended the course, I got the training card, I have attended the exam, I got the score. The immediate job for me is to apply. So what I will do is I'll select here, apply for accreditation. The first page is, it will ask, is it a renewal or no? Say this is not a renewal, just an initial. So I'll select no. And before even proceeding with go, you need to read the note here that SSN is always required to apply for accreditation. Or if it is a contractor, your EAN number is always required. So you need to make sure your profile is having SSN. If SSN is blank, system will not allow you to go and submit the application. It will throw a validation error that SSN is empty, please update it. So you need to make sure SSN is there in your profile before even proceeding for applying an application. So as SSN is there in my profile, I'll just go ahead for an initial application. So I select as no. I will click on go. Now you'll see what application type. Okay, I want to apply for Visual Inspector, Inspector Technician, and Risk Assessor. All three, you have to select this application type. If you are an instructor accreditation, you select instructor accreditation. Supervisor, supervisor accreditation. So right now I will select as an example, inspector technician. So I will select this one. And then you'll see the categories. Okay, you selected the individual accreditation. Now is it for inspector technician, risk assessor, visual inspector? So I want to apply for inspector technician. Okay, now for this application, we need to know your employer. Who is your employer? So in the drop down, you'll see your employer. If that employer has already added you as their employee, so that is important. This organization one, who is your employer, should also come into this system and should be able to add you as their employee. If they don't add you as their employee, you will not see anyone here. So that is another important point which your employer should do in the system. So organization one has already added me as their employee, so I could see that employer name here in my list to select. So I select that name. And then for this application, I need to give the training and exam details. So I will select, means if I have multiple trainings, I need to select the valid training for this application. So this is the training that is valid for the current application. And this is the exam that is valid for this current application. I'll just select both and proceed. Now you will land on the application page. So here, if you see, there is general application information section. All the details will be auto pulled from your profile. So whatever you have given in your personal profile will be auto updated here. You can cross verify that. And if you scroll down, there is application type that will tell whether it is an initial or renewal. I selected as initial, so that is why it is set as no. It means I do not have any existing accreditation of this category. And then other section is category and fee. So this is inspector technician category and fee is $125. And there is a third party exam date when it was taken. So that is displayed here. And this date is based on the exam you selected in the previous screen. So this will be auto updated on the application based on the previous selections. and then training information. Again, you'll see the training details. So the training information that I have selected in the previous page, based on that, it will be updated here. And then employer details. So I have selected Argon as my employer, and those details are displayed here. So Argon is my employer, and this is their contact information. And if you scroll down, there are document section. So if you need to add any documents, you can select from the document type and just add those documents that support this application. So I have just added one random document. Similarly, you can add all the required documentation for the application. Once you're done updating or attaching the documents, you can always download those documents again if you want by clicking on this icon. And if you think this document is not required for this application, you can delete it and you can upload some other document. So you can always manage the documents before submitting. And if you scroll down, you have the statement and signature section. If you're part of state or local government or a government employee, you can check this box. The fee will become 0. If you are not part of state or government employee, then you can uncheck and there will be some fee involved in the application. So for now, I'll select the option that I'm not part of the government. And then I'll just check this box confirming that everything I have provided here is true. And then I'm not yet ready to submit. Say, for example, I don't have some document to attach. I don't have it yet. I don't want to continue and submit. So what I can do is I'll just save the application. Yes. Now, once the application is saved, I'll land on my applications, list of applications page, and I can see the application I just saved in the status of draft. So this is the application I just entered and saved without submitting. So I can log out. I can come back after a few days. Once I have the document I need, I'll just come back to the portal. I'll go to my applications here. I'll click select. I can see the application that I have saved. I can reopen it. And now I can say, now I have the document or the information that needs to be added. I'll just add that document or information to this application. Now, if everything is looking good, I'll just click on continue. After that, you will land on a preview page. So here you can review the full information. You cannot edit, you can review all the details that you have entered. And if everything is looking good, you can continue to payment because there is a payment involved. If you think something is wrong, actually say for example, you are part of state government, you forgot to check it. So you can go back to edit. You can scroll down to the application. You can update anything you need to update. You can select, so okay, I'm part of state of employees. So I'll just select that and continue. And I just review the details again. You see the total fee involved is 0 now because I have updated the application. And there is one more thing you can see is previously there is continue to payment. The button was continue to payment. Now that button is not there. You'll see submit. There is some noise. Could you please go on mute if you're not talking? Okay, thank you. So if you see here, if there is no fee involved, you'll see submit button. You can directly submit without payment. But for training purpose, I'll show with the payment involved. So I'll just uncheck that. Continue. Everything is looking good. So I'll just continue to the payment. So before submitting, you have to complete the payment. So I'll click on continue to payment. I'll see the review of the application. Okay, this category, this is the fee, and this is my name. Everything is good. I'll click on pay now. Okay, I'll select by pay credit card, the e-payment portal. And confirm. If $125 payment transaction is successful, I will land on payment successful page. If not, payment failed. So Now the payment is successful. You will also receive this information to your email, and you can click on my application. And if you see now, the application status changed from draft to submitted. And if you see the icon turn green, so you can always come back and see the application here by clicking on this icon. And one important thing I would like to mention is now the application is submitted. It's with the MDE team now. They have to process your application. So if you click on this icon, you can you can see the application that was submitted, all the documents that are attached, that are submitted. You can see all these. But you see a new box displayed here, which is processing box. If you open this box, there are two tabs. One is attachments, one is message. If MDE team, while processing, if they need to communicate with you that they need some other document, or if something is missing, say for example in this, I selected a training, but there is no training card. So they'll come back and ask that in your application, there is no training card number, there is no training card attached. Could you please provide? So there could be some communication that can happen while processing. So those messages can be viewed in this box. And if you need to attach more documents, you can click on attachment. You can always select from here and add those documents. So for now, in training purpose, I will ask, okay, let me just, so I have uploaded one more document to this application. So you can always append or add more documents on request in this box. Let me just go back to my dashboard once. I'll click on my applications. Becky, did you pick the application? I just want to make sure. So I'm internally asking the other team member to pick the application so that I will show you how the status will change in step by step. All right, so.
Bo, I added a message to the application.
Okay, once. Let me see. Let me just log out and log in if that is the reason. There are multiple applications for the same name. Becky, probably you have picked a different application. Could you see on today's date? Can you check submitted date? I assume you picked a different one. I think, but anyway, it doesn't matter. It's the same process. Let me see if I can find it here. I don't see it. I think there are 4 applications, but probably you may have used or picked some other application from the same user. I don't see even on this. Let me see. So you confirm you have updated for inspector 1, right? Okay. Just make sure yes, I see the update. Now you see the application that was in submitted state. Now it is in processing state. Means one MDE team member has picked your application and now it is in processing state. And when it is in processing state, you can always come back and see and open that application if there is any information that is required or if they have any questions, or you can always come back and see the details if there are any messages for you from the member. But for now, this is where you can see the communication and this is where you can see the status of the application. And if it is approved, so Becky, you can go ahead and approve it. That is fine. I'll just show how the status changes. But these are some other examples. As you see from processing, if the application is approved, the status will change to approved. As you see, there are some previous examples that were done. You can see that processing will change to approved once your application is approved. I'll just show some comparison. If your application is in processing, if you open your application, okay, now it is just approved. You'll see this print certificate. This button will display on your application only if it is approved. And see, this is how you can see the messages. See, there is some message for you from the MDE processor that they need training information. So this is how you can communicate with your processor that updated my training card and attached. You can send the communication in this message box. And if you need to add, you can add here in this message box. So you can use this processing box to communicate and add more details as needed. Instead of mailing, you can just attach here. And as you see, the application is now approved. So I see print certificate button added. So if I click on print certificate, I should be able to print my license that is just approved. So a PDF will be downloaded. I can open and see, yes, so I'm approved for inspector technician. This is my expiration date. This is my training profile details, and this is my accreditation number and approval date. So I got the digital license certificate generated. And if you have observed, I print that certificate through my applications. What I did is I went to my applications, I opened the application and printed the certificate. And as I mentioned before, you can print it through my accreditations as well. You can go to my accreditations. You can check the licenses that are approved. So this is the license that was just submitted and approved. So I got the number, I got the expiry date, I got the badge. So you can click here as well to download your digital certificate. So you can click the same all the time. Whenever you want to print, whenever you need, you can always come here and print your digital certificate. It will be generated automatically from my accreditations. So I'll just rewind the flows that I have covered is as an existing inspector or a licensee holder, I created a profile through initialization flow. After creating profile, after logging in, I went to my accreditations and saw if all my licenses are listed here automatically. If you think there are only few licenses that are displayed and few are missing, say for example, if I see only this license, and if I have two more licenses that are not displayed, please contact MDE team saying that there are few other accreditation numbers that should be there and they are not there in yours. So make sure you communicate that and send an email request asking about the same. But if everything is available, then you are good to go. You should be able to see all your licenses here. After that, if I am pursuing any new license, I go to courses, I register for courses, and the payment is done outside this application portal. Once the course is complete, I'll get the training card and I can go to my training here. I can see the training statuses, what are all done, what are all pending, for which training I have the training card and all. You can review here. Similarly, for exams, you can register for exams here. You can go to my exams and see which exams are completed and for which if you need to do any payment or you can directly view the score. You can always come to this page and view those details. And here you can apply for accreditation licenses. Once the application is submitted or saved, you always come to my applications and you can review. Like if it is not submitted, if it is in draft status, you can always reopen that, update and submit. And once it is submitted, you can always come back and see the status of your application. And if there is some communication that should be happening, you can always open that processing application. Or if it is in pended or processing or rejected, if you see some other status you are not expecting, you can always come back here and open and see if you have any messages from the processor. And you can try to communicate through these messages. And if they request any document that you forgot to attach some document, if you see that message, you just click on attachment, attach the document, and send a message that it's done. So this is how you can provide additional documentation and communicate. So this is the workflow for an individual accredited user. These are the major workflows which I plan to cover for individual accredited user. Now I will just show you how to create a profile if you have a company, like if you are a service provider, right? I own a company and I have some training provider licenses, or maybe I have some inspector contractor licenses. So I want to register to this portal. So how to do that is, again, you come back to login page, you click on this link. Now I am a service provider. So what I will do is I will click on service provider, and then I will provide my company name. So if your company name exists with this department, with any active licenses, if you have any active business with these services, then you should be able to identify your company. And if you click, you provide your service provider name and click search. If you are able to identify your business, we will display like this. Like if there are multiple businesses, you will display what are all matching to your keyword that is entered, and you need to select the business that is applicable for you, and then you have to proceed. So for training purpose, I'll use this dummy service provider. Okay, I have a business org1. I have some existing contracting licenses. So now I have to create a profile to manage my business, apply for accreditation or renewals of my business licenses. So for all that purpose, I need a profile. So I'll search the name, I identify the company, I select it and say proceed. If you see here, if this company already has a login profile created to manage the business, we will throw a message here telling you there is one account that is already authorized to manage this business in this application. If you want to create one more profile to manage your business, like say this profile is from your CEO, and you want to create a profile for your manager or HR who can also have control on your business, you can proceed and create. So assume that this is a profile of the CEO, and you want to create one more profile for your HR or manager who can be authorized to manage this business. You can click on continue. Now you will land on personal profile page again, but nothing will be pre-populated because you are a new user to this application who will be managing the business. And if you see, this page is to create authorized user profile for this organization. So I'll just provide some dummy details. So what I'm doing currently is creating a manager profile who can manage the business, my business, and I'll just click here if both the addresses are matching. So I'll just check it, and I'll create save profile. Now again, you'll just follow the same steps. That manager will get an email with a temp password. So I'll just pull it from the back temporarily. So I'm trying to create the profile, setting up my secure password. Now the password is updated. I'll just try to enter with my secure password. As I'm getting into this system for the first time from this device, I'll get an OTP to my email. So I'll just get the OTP. I'll enter that OTP and I'll say I trust this device and then register. Now Argon Manager profile is created. And if I click on business profile, you'll see the company name, the service provider name. So this profile, Argon Manager at srgr.com, Argon Manager is created to manage my business. Like apply for licenses. If I have more activities like manage my employees, list of employees, all the related services, schedule inspections, all the details, you will have this profile to control everything. And one important point I would like to mention now is anyone can go and say, I want to be an authorized user for so and so company. They can just simply go and submit. System will not give them the rights. If you see here, if I click on edit or view, I cannot change any details of the organization. I don't have rights to manage this business. I will have the rights only when MDE team approves my request. So once you are done creating this profile, once you complete creating this profile, you will not have any rights yet. So what you have to do is you have to request MDE team saying, we have a manager profile created in your system, and that user should be having the rights to manage that business. So once you send that request, MDE team will have the rights to approve it. So they will just inform you whether they have approved it or not by cross-verifying with you. Once they approve it, then only you will have rights to manage the business. So until then, you cannot see if this business has any existing licenses. If I click on my accreditations, I don't see anything. It's nothing. If I see any existing applications submitted for organization one, any license applications, renewals, I don't see anything. You don't have the rights yet. It's just the profile that is created. So now I will ask my team member to approve it internally. So I'm done creating a profile. Now I'm sending a request to MDE team to approve that. So Becky, if you can quickly approve the authorization for this user.
It's done.
Okay. So once it is done, you just need to re-log into the system. And now if you see, there are few other tiles that are added to my dashboard because now I have the approval that I can manage this business. Means I can change the business details. I can update their phone number. I can update their website address, everything. Now I am authorized to manage this business. So if I go to dashboard, I can see manage employees. I can add the headquarters or the physical locations related to the business in manage locations. And if you are a training provider, you will have access to manage classes where you can schedule classes. So these three tiles will be available on your dashboard only once you are authorized to manage a business. So now let me see if I click on my accreditations. Now I can see, you see, previously it is blank. I could not see. Now I see that this service provider has an inspection contractor license expiring in 2023. And I can even pull out the digital certificate of that license. So I can see, okay, this organization has this license and so now I have access to all the details of this organization. And now I have access to apply on behalf of this organization. If I need to apply for any renewal, if this business is trying to apply for a new licenses, you can always come here and start applying. And if I can see if there are any existing applications of this organization, I can click here. Yeah, there is one application that was already submitted and approved. I can see that. And I can even open the application and I can see what was submitted. I can even print the certificate from here. So now I have all the details of the organization accessible to my profile to manage. And as a service provider, I can also go and click on manage employees. And you can see who are all the existing employees. If these employees are already in the system affiliated with this organization, they'll be auto displayed for you. And if you think there is any employee who is no more with the organization, you can always click on edit or view and you can terminate that employee. Or if you want some employee who has authorization access to manage the business, you can remove the rights. So you can manage the authorization rights of an employee to this organization. You can terminate the employees that are present in this organization, or you can even add new employees. And adding these new employees means that employee should already be in this system. If that employee did not create any profile in this system, you will not be able to identify them. They should be existing in our system. Say, for example, I'll just try a dummy user who is, say, not yet there. We'll say that this provider is not there in the system. So those employees should be creating their profile. And when I click, if the profile exists in the system, then the name will be auto-populated if you identify that. So if I click search, you see the name will be auto-populated. Yes, so this user exists in the system, and this user must be part of this organization. So I'll select the organization, and this user should have authorization to manage corporate actions? No, he's just a supervisor who will be, as an employee of this organization, is just a supervisor, but no authorization to manage business. So I just uncheck it and save and reconfirm. Now I have added the new user to this employee. So new employee to this service provider. So this is how you can manage your employees. And then if you have any locations that need to be added to this organization, you click on manage locations, add new location, and you can provide if you have any location details that need to be added to this organization, you can add it. So if you are applying for any training provider licenses, right, you need to add the locations because these locations will be auto-populated on the application. So you need to make sure if you are a training provider and if you are applying for any renewal of training provider or new training provider licenses, you need to make sure you have the list of instructors and list of training locations added already in these styles before proceeding for applying the license. So this is how you can manage or take control of your business if you are an existing service provider, like in a company. And other than that, as a service provider or an individual user, I have covered everything with respect to creating the profile, registering courses, registering exams, applying for the accreditation licenses, how to communicate or view the status of the license applications. Once approved, where can I see my existing licenses or approved licenses? How can I print my licenses? And then if I'm a service provider organization or a company, how can I get the authorization? How can I manage the employees or instructors? How can I manage the locations? So all the details which I have just covered is with respect to setting up your profile and submitting the application accreditation licenses. So here I will give a small 5-minute pause before proceeding, because in the next session I will show how to schedule inspections, how to add supporting documents, how to generate inspection certificates. So I'll take a small break, and before the break, sorry, I would like to mention one thing. If you see here, every tile has a help button. If you need to know how to apply for license, you click on help button. You'll be taken to a page where topics related to the tile will be displayed. So if you want to know how to submit training provider application, you click on this topic and you will be given a PDF, a manual, which you can refer for that specific topic. So you can save the PDF, you can download, print it, or read it and close it. Similarly, each tile will have its own help. If you need to know how this tile works, what functionalities will it cover, you click on help. You'll see the topics that this tile will cover. You can open how to view your applications, how to view or update profile while submitting the application. So all the topics related to that specific tile will be available in this help. If you want to know how to manage your employees, you click here in the help. You'll see how you can add, view, or edit your employees. So a manual will be provided for you to understand. So when you try to practice in this training environment, you can always refer to these help files to understand more on your own. Yeah, so here I'll just take a quick 5-minute pause and let's see if we can answer a few questions before proceeding. Becky, do you have something you'd like to bring it up, or is it
So,
all?
someone asked if changing their address in the section update your address information on the MD website. That would be only for the contractors, the companies, not the individual, inspectors and supervisors. So if they update their company profile, would that update the website? Their address?
No, their website will not be integrated into this system. So website is completely operating silo. So if they update in their company, it will not be reflected here because they are not integrated. So they have to separately come here and update. Means if I understand your question right, if they have a website like this, if they change their
I think they're asking about our MDE website where we list all the inspectors and all the contractors that are available to hire.
Right now it's not there. We are not pulling this information from that site. So they have to separately come and update here in this system. So if they have a different address or if they are changing the address in a different MDE website, these are not auto updated.
Okay, so just to clarify for everyone, that is right now a manual process that we actually extract the data out of our current system and put on the website. That's why there's always a delay between when you update your information and when it goes live on the website. So we'll give you further details about that, but you will need to update any changes in this system. There's not a separate system for updating the website.
All right, and
Paula, we have another question. Will we still be using the current system to download forms and tracking number searches? And they would be referring to inspection documents. I think that we'll hold off on that question until the second session.
Right.
How will training providers submit dates for a course that is closed course for specific client? That was covered in the training provider session. We'll answer that offline, Andrew. Do we set up company first, then employee set up his/her account, then company add employee?
Yeah, so you can set up your company profile and your employees can create their profiles separately. There is no one step after other, but to add those to your employee list, they have to complete creating their profiles. That is important. But creating the profiles, they can happen in parallel. It doesn't matter. But if you need to add them to your employee list, they should have a profile created. And as I said, right, let me show that example again. Let me just go back to that. Just hold on there. Manager. As I said, once you have the authorization rights, right? If the company is already having an existing list of employees, like if your organization already have 10 or 20 employees already linked, they'll be auto-populated here. You don't need to again ask them to create profile. Only problem is, even though they are here in your employee list, they may not have the login profile to view their applications or licenses. But you will see the employee list auto displayed if they're already part of your employee list. You don't need to say, for example, currently you have 20 employees. Once you create the profile and once you get the authorization, all the 20 employees will be auto displayed. So you don't need to worry to add them again afresh. But if you need to add a new employee who is new to your employee list or who is completely new, then they have to come, create their profile, then you can identify them and then add them. So if the list is already existing, it will be auto displayed. Like as I said, your existing licenses, your existing employees, your existing applications, everything will be auto linked because you are creating profile using. Because if you remember, when your authorization, like when you are creating that profile, you're trying to identify your business that is existing in the system. So once you select that specific business, all the employees, licenses, everything will be auto displayed in the application. So you don't need to worry to add them again if they are existing. So I hope I have answered that question. And
Bala, okay, so we have another question. For property management companies who have employees taking maintenance and repainting supervisor classes, will their training card numbers and test results be submitted automatically to this site, even if they don't register for the class via the site?
so if they need to submit any application using those training classes, they need to come here and register in this system. So that is mandatory. Like as you said, you have employees taking maintenance and repainting supervisor classes, right? They're taking those classes from a specific training provider. So they have to come here and register for that specific class through this portal. Because if they don't do that, the training information will not be recorded in the system. So I think in the previous sessions which we covered for training providers, we guided the training providers that all their students should create their profile here and register through this portal. Because if they don't do course registrations or exam registrations in this portal, when they apply for accreditation, as you saw, we cannot display your existing details. What are your existing trainings? What are your existing exams that you can use to apply? So if those records are not there, you will not be able to apply for those licenses. So that is a precondition that you have those data links already added in this system.
Okay, and Bala, I see one hand raised. If Constance, if you would like to ask your question, and I think that will be the last one for now. We'll move on to the second session. And then questions that we don't get answered, we'll try to follow up on as soon as possible, or if we have more time at the end of the session, because we still have a lot to cover. Go ahead, Constance.
Maybe you're speaking on mute, Constance.
Okay. How about Paul Gross? Would you like to ask a question? You have to unmute yourself on your navigation bar. Looks like a microphone. Red microphone.
I think Paul Gross has removed that hand. So I think Karen Witz, sorry if I am pronouncing it wrong. Karen? Do you have a question? All right, so we'll just wait. Oh, my question was answered. Okay, thanks. Okay, then we'll just proceed with the next set of details. Now I'll show how, as an inspector or a supervisor, how you can go into the system and schedule inspections, generate inspection certificates, add all the forms that need to be added to the certificate. So I'll just show one scenario how to do that. So I'm an inspector. I have an existing license. And say an owner has reached out to me that I need to conduct a modified risk reduction inspection at the property. So what I will do is I'll come into the system. I log into with my user credentials. Second. As I'm an active inspector, as I have an active inspector technician license, that makes me eligible to have access to this tile. So what I will do is I'll go into this inspections and certificates tile. And when you click on that, as an inspector, you will have option to schedule an inspection. Or if you have a company and if you are doing any abatement projects, you can add those project notifications. So these are the two major tabs that an inspector or the inspector contractor can do in this module. And you will see by default, you will land on a page where you can see if you have any existing licenses, you will see those listed here. If you already, sorry, not licenses, my mistake, existing inspection schedule for any property, you will see them here. If you don't have any existing inspection scheduled, this list will be empty. And then you have a search criteria, and if you need to search any of your inspections, like if you have like hundreds of inspections scheduled, then you can always use the search criteria to identify any specific inspection. This is the landing page when you click on this tab. Now, as an owner has reached out to me to schedule an inspection. So what I will do is I'll click on schedule inspection. Once I click it, the system will ask for which property are you going to schedule the inspection. And while searching for a property, you have options to search using user address number, street name. Like, do not enter any street type here. You have separate street type. Then you can enter a unit number, owner, or manager name. So based on these search inputs, you can try to identify a specific property. And if you see, address number and street name are minimum required. So you can just try, I'll just try to give a sample address. I just entered a part of the information and I'll just click on search. Based on the search inputs you have provided, if the system is able to pull out all the matching records, you'll see all the records listed here. And you can see the address. If there are units, you'll see the unit number here. You can see the owner or manager name, county, and property number. And if there is any tracking ID, you can see the tracking ID. So let me just randomly select a specific property. Like I want to schedule, like so and so owner has contacted me, Eric, to schedule an inspection. So I'll just identify that property. I'll select that property and I'll just scroll down to click add inspection. Now you will land on add inspection schedule page and you'll see the address that is pre-selected. And if you think there is any misspell in the address name, if you think the owner name is misspelled, if there is any typo, if you think there is some discrepancy in the address that is there in our system that needs to be corrected, as an inspector, you need to mention that. If you think everything is accurate, there is nothing wrong, you just select no mismatch. If you think, say, owner name is incorrect, that owner name should be Eric instead of Eric. So it is incorrectly entered here in the system. you can add those comments saying that there is mismatch in the owner's name. So you are required to select one option from these. And say if there is a mismatch in unit number, it should not be SFP, unit should be unit A. You need to add that notes so that it will be useful for us to correct the details in our database. Currently, this data has a lot of typos or some misinformation. So for that purpose, we added this section so that we can take some input from the inspector while scheduling. So in this way, you can use this section. And after that, you need to select who is your service provider. My employer will be listed here by default. And then you need to select which inspection. Is it a lead-free, full risk reduction, modified risk reduction? So majority of these three, and you can ignore these legacy. We'll be removing them soon, but if you see them, don't select. Select only from lead-free, full risk reduction, or any of these that are not mentioned as legacy. So for this training, I'll just say I am doing a full risk reduction. Okay, when is it scheduled? Say on 30th November, afternoon 3 o'clock. I can set the inspection. Is there any contact details for the owner? You can enter the contact details if they exist. These are all optional. If they exist, you can enter, else you can leave them blank. And if you see here, the property which you have selected for a full risk reduction already has some existing inspection done and there is some certificate generated. So you can ignore this. So we just display if there are any existing inspection schedules or certificates added to this property. So you can ignore this for now and just click on schedule new inspection. We just remove this for now and say schedule new inspection. Yes. Once I schedule the inspection, I will land on to my home page and you'll see 325452 is the new inspection schedule I have added to the system. I just scheduled it. And say after a day or two, owner has contacted me that they can't do on the 30, we have to reschedule. You can always come back here. You click on this schedule ID. You can see once you click on that schedule ID, you can see who is the service provider, who is the inspector that has scheduled this inspection, what property this inspection is for. All the previously selected values will be auto displayed, and you can always come back and change your inspection date. And if you want to cancel, you can also cancel. So you can always update the inspection. And if you see, after scheduling the inspection, there are few other sections. Are there any certificates added, inspection certificates added to this inspection? Not yet. Are there any existing supervisor statement of work at this property? Not yet. There are blank. So these are the additional sections that will be displayed once you save inspection schedule. So right now I just reschedule the inspection. Say for example, inspection is requested to be done today morning itself. Say inspection is done. I'm just, for training purpose, I'm just updating that the inspection is done. So 325452 from this owner at that specific address, like I just we displayed only the number and name on the quick preview, and there is no certificate added, and the inspection status is scheduled. Now the inspection is complete. My next job is to generate a certificate. So what I will do, I will open my schedule. I scroll down. Now I need to add a certificate. So I'll just click on this form 330, add certificate. You will land on a page that will auto display the tracking ID, auto display the owner name, construction year, parcel, unit number, address. Everything is auto filled based on what you have selected while scheduling that inspection. Now only thing you need to select is method. What method is applied? Is it a dust inspection certificate? You select that. Exterior waiver, you select that. Lead free, you select this. So appropriate method is now selected here. And this drop down is displayed based on the category you have. So as this is a full risk reduction, related methods will be displayed for you to select. Say if you are selecting exterior waiver, we will ask you what is the reinspection date. If it is not an exterior waiver method, you will not be asked for it. Say this is a dust inspection, I select it, and say inspection is passed, you can select passed. And I'm just certifying yes, everything I have provided here is true. And if you see here, the inspection is done on 11/17/10 a.m. So this date and time is pulled from your schedule because that's where you said you have scheduled the inspection for. So that is what you are certifying that it's passed. I save the certificate. Yes. Now, if you see for this schedule ID, the certificate number, a unique certificate number will be created. You see 101733 certificate is created for the inspection you completed. And now if you scroll down, previously you just selected the method, you selected the status, you certified it and saved and generated the certificate. But this certificate is not just done yet. You need to add the documents, supporting documents to the certificate. You need to add the forms that need to be added to the certificate. And if you need to select any existing SSWs, you need to select from that list. If there are any existing formulas that you need to select from here if they are available for that property. So all these activities are still pending for this certificate. So as an inspector, what I just did is I went to my inspection module, I scheduled an inspection, I completed the inspection, I generated a certificate. Now you see a certificate number is added to that line item. Previously it was blank. Previously these two were blank. Once I generated the certificate, I got the certificate number and certificate status added here. Inspection status changed from scheduled to completed. Now the next job for me is to open this certificate and add all the documents that needs to be added. So if I need to add a diagram of unit, I select the document type, I choose the document and upload. That will be added to the certificate. If there is an exterior lab results that need to be added, I'll select doc type lab results. I'll choose the file and upload. Similarly, whatever is required for this certificate, I need to select and upload. And now I need to add Form B. Okay, let me start with Form B. In this example, I need to add Form B to this certificate. So I'll select Form B and click on Add Form. You want to add? Yes. Now you will land on Form B page where you will have the part 1. So what you see here is actually a digital replica of your physical print form. All the sections are almost digital replica of what you already have. Like you have this part 1 where you enter all the details. Then you have this part 2 of MRR treatment questions. So here what you do is you enter all the, so here I'm just entering some dummy data for Form B. And for treatment questions, you need to answer yes or no in Form B. And if you have any comments for Form B, you can add test comments. And you can say when you are certifying that the information you have provided here on Form B is accurate. You just mention that date, that okay, I'm certifying that so and so date. I'm certifying the information I have provided here is true. And if you click on Save Form, system will throw a validation error now. I'll show why. Please enter a reason for selecting no. So in Form B, for any treatments question, if you answer no, you need to provide the reason why it is no. So this is required. So I have answered no for these two, so I provided a reason and I'm saving the form. Yes. Now I'll land back on my certificate page. You'll see form B is added to my certificate. Previously, this list of forms and SSWs were empty, like no forms were added. Now form B is added to my certificate. Similarly, I can go and add any number of forms. So I'll just go and add form C, for example. Add form C. Yes. So again, I'll land on form C page. You'll see some fields that are almost, as I said, similar to what you see currently. So I'll just provide the details of form C, sample test data. We have the visual review. Is conditional parents order? Yes, yes. Is there any exterior waiver use? No. If you say exterior waiver use, yes, then we'll ask when the reinspection should be done and who approved the exterior waiver. So these two are displayed when you answer yes. So for this training, I'll just select no. And then you have part 3 dust collection analysis, where you can, these are, you need to answer whether the fair room, retest of fair room is yes or no. Or if you don't know, you can say no. I'll say no. This is required, as you can see. And then you have the blank sample details. Blank sample details are not required. So if you have the information, you can just enter some random data, like the correct data for your purpose, but they are not required. And then if you scroll down, there is the room information section, where in form C, you need to add multiple room details. So this is the section where you can enter the room details. And if you don't want to complete form C today, right away, you don't need to add the room information. You can just simply certify that form and save it. Once you save it, that form will be added to your certificate. You can always come back. You can click on view or edit or update. And you can always go back to your form and update the information. You are not obliged to provide everything on at the same time. You can always save with the required fields and come back and update. So I added form C, I came back, now I'm adding the room information. Say this is a kitchen room, number of lead-free to non-lead-free, or just say random data. And total number of windows is auto-calculated based on what you enter here. And then if there is 4 sample number, I'll just enter the room information. And the results, you need to know, is it less than 9? Standard is auto-displayed as yes. If you select, if the result is less than, or say for example it is equal to 10, it is no. So meet standard is auto calculated and displayed based on the result you give here for that room. And if this room has any sill sample details, you can enter those here. And see, I entered only floor and sill. That's the total samples collected is 2. And if there are any comments, I'll just add the comments and say add room information. Yes. Now if you see, kitchen room is added to this form C. Previously, there is no list of rooms. So like this, you can add any number of rooms to form C. So for form C, I have added 2 room details. So if I need to re-edit, you want to change something, you just click on edit. The previously entered values will be loaded here. You can always change and update the room details. So for now, we'll just check why this is not taken, but that is how you have to add room details to form C. So I'll just go to the certificate directly. and I'll see the forms that are added to the certificate. Similarly, if this certificate requires statement of work and there is no statement of work added, if this certificate needs a statement of work, what you have to do as an inspector is contact that owner, ask him to contact a supervisor and get a supervisor statement of work. Once that owner contacts a supervisor and once that supervisor comes into the system, identifies that property, once that property gets a SSW, that will be auto listed here. I'll show it quickly after this. So just now I added form B, form C, I added some required documents. And now if the minimum required documents for this certificate is added, print certificate button will be activated. If you do not have required documents added to a certificate, that print certificate will be removed. It will not be activated. So you need to make sure the required documents are added to the certificate. If the required documents are not added to the certificate, the print certificate will be disabled. So the documentation is really important for you to get access to the inspection certificate. So now I have added the required documents. That's why I got the access to print certificate. If I click on print certificate, a digital version of this inspection certificate will be generated in PDF. It will auto downloaded. You can open this and see the digital certificate. Maryland Department of Environment, a form 330. This is your unique certificate number auto generated. You have the property details, owner name, inspection category, the method selected, status of the inspection. If this re-inspection, those details will be updated. Then when is this certified by the inspector? Who is the service provider? Who is the inspector? And their respective accreditation details. So this digital certificate will be available for the inspector all the time when the required documents are added to that certificate. And now I'll just show, I think we'll take, I think before taking a break, I'll just show the supervisor as well, really quick. 1 second. Say you mentioned to the owner that there is no supervisor statement of work to attach to your certificate. Could you please get it done? So owner will reach out to a supervisor. And supervisor, once they have the profile in the system, what they will do, they'll do the similar process. They'll go into the system, they go to this inspection certification module, and they have this tab, supervisor statement of work. So here, they can click on add supervisor statement of work. Now they have to identify for which property this statement of work is for. So I'll just look for the exact property. And I will provide all the, when the supervision is done, and who is my employer as a supervisor, and what are the treatment types that are applicable for this property. And if I select not applicable, then I need to provide a reason. So that is a validation. If I select not applicable to any treatment type, I need to provide a reason, else system will throw a validation error. Like if I don't select and save, you'll throw a validation error. So that is important. Yes. So as a supervisor, I was contacted by an owner and I went to that property. Supervisor has added a SSW to that specific property. I assume, I think this is a property which the inspection also done. So let me go back as an inspector and let me try to go to that certificate added by that inspector. 1 second. I'm an inspector. I'm going to my inspection schedule. I'm opening my certificate. Let me see if that is populated here. Yes, if you see now, I am the inspector. I inform the owner that there is no SSW and you need to add that to your certificate. Owner reached out to a supervisor. They completed the supervision and they added SSW to this property. And if I come back to my certificate, I see this property already have a supervisor statement of work. So I can just select that supervisor statement of work and click assign. Yes. That supervisor statement of work is now added to the list of forms of this certificate. So this certificate number 107333 now has a form B, has a form C, has a supervisor statement of work, and also a document of unit. So this is how you can keep on adding forms that need to be added for a specific certificate. This is how, as an inspector, you schedule an inspection. Once you complete the inspection, this is how you generate a certificate. And if the certificate is a pass or fail, you just select based on that. And right now what I showed is a happy path where I selected a property, I selected the method, selected the status as passed, I added all the forms and documents necessary for the certificate, and I'm done with this inspection certificate. So if you go to inspection home, you can see this is the inspection I just completed. And as a supervisor, I just showed that if you are a supervisor, as I mentioned, you log into the system. If you are a supervisor, you will have access again, as I mentioned, to this module. And when you go to this module, you will have access to add supervisor statement of works. That's all. Because you are a supervisor, you don't have access to schedule inspections. You don't have access for abatement policy. You are just a supervisor. That's why you have access to only this supervisor statement of work. And this is how you add a supervisor statement of work by clicking on add SSW, search the property, provide all the details for the SSW. And if you can see, once you add, it will be listed in your home page. You can always reopen your statement of work and view what is added to that. So this is how you complete your supervisor statement of work, and as an inspector, you just schedule an inspection, you add an inspection certificate, and to that certificate, you keep on adding the forms or supporting documents to that certificate. And before taking questions, I would like to quickly show how to schedule a re-inspection. So I just want to show that flow before taking some questions. Say, for example, I'll just go with the same property, for example. If I need to schedule a re-inspection for this property, and what I have to do is I can click on the current inspection. If I'm the same inspector who did the previous inspection, I'll click on that inspection. I scroll down and say, I want to do a re-inspection for this property. So you just click on add re-inspection. Yes. Once you click on add re-inspection, a new schedule ID will be auto displayed. So 325453 is a re-inspection schedule for the same property. And if you scroll to your right, you see a parent inspection ID 325452 means this inspection, which is a re-inspection of this inspection. So that is how you can see if there is any parent inspection ID to that row, it means that this is a re-inspection which you have scheduled. And you can always open that re-inspection. You can always come back, and if you need to add a new certificate for this re-inspection, you add a new certificate. Instead of that, you can just open that existing certificate and you can just add Form B. That I have done some re-inspection and I'm certifying that this re-inspection is done and I'm saving it. So this certificate that was originally generated with the original inspection got a re-inspection schedule, and I just added Form D to that certificate. So this is how you add a reinspection details to existing certificate. And if there is any situation like your inspection got failed, so I'll just take one example that is here. So if inspection is failed, you generated a failed certificate. So you can schedule a reinspection on top of that and add a new certificate. So you can always do that. Say, for example, I don't know if it is a real-time scenario, but say, for example, your existing certificate is a failed certificate. Let me just update that to a failed one. So this is one original inspection, and I have added a certificate, but the certificate is failed. The inspection is failed. So what I have to do now is I have to do a reinspection for the same property, which is this property, right? So what I can do is I'll click on that original inspection. I'll just schedule a reinspection for it. 1 second. Okay, this is done by a different inspector. Or let me just cross check. Oh, this is already a reinspection, right? Okay. Let me just go to this add certificate. Okay, I'll take this example. So 325445 is an inspection that I have scheduled, and say the inspection has failed. So I'm adding a certificate saying I did a one-time lead free and it failed. Say for example, this inspection failed, I'm adding a failed certificate. So after this, what I have to do is I have to schedule a reinspection for it, failed certificate, right? So I'll just open that existing inspection. I'll add a reinspection to it. So a new record will be added. Like 325454 is a reinspection of 325445, which is what I just failed. So I'll open my reinspection here. If I open, I will see that there is one certificate already added for my original inspection, which is failed. So if you want, you can add a new certificate to this new reinspection and say it is now passed. So this is another way where you can initially for first inspection that is failed, you can generate a failed certificate, and for the reinspection, you can add a new certificate that is passed. So if I go to this inspection, I'll see both. 1017334 is my original certificate that inspection failed for this original inspection schedule. I did a reinspection and a new certificate is generated and it is passed. So this is how you can add new certificate to your reinspection, or you can always go and update your existing certificate with Form D. You don't need to generate a new certificate. So I'll just rewind a few things. As an inspector, you will have access to schedule inspections. You can, once you schedule an inspection, a record will be added, and you'll see that no certificate will be added because you just scheduled it. Once you add the certificate to that inspection, you will see a certificate number generated with a status. And then you can open that certificate, Form 330, and you can keep on adding all the supporting documents to the certificate. And once you complete adding the required documents, you'll see the print certificate. Until then, you won't see the print certificate button. Similarly, if you are an inspector contractor, you need to do abatement project. So you have to add a abatement notification. So for that purpose, this is the tab. You click on abatement notification. You add a project notification. Okay, you need to identify for which property is this notification for. You just search with the minimum search inputs. And based on the results, if you can identify the property, you can identify property from the results. So I just select one property randomly and I say, once I select the property for which this project is added, if you scroll down, you'll see the property details populated based on your selection. If you select a different property, you see this will be changed. So these project address and owner details will be displayed here based on the selection you did here on the search results. So once the right property is selected, you just mention the dates of this project. And if there is any case number involved, you can just add that case number. And when is the project starting, and when is it expected to complete, and who is the service provider. And you can add the scope of work details here and save it. So as an inspector contractor, I added a new notification for this property. So if I need to change something on the notification dates, I can just click on this ID. I can reopen what I have saved, and I can just change the dates. I can update and I can save. So this is how you can add a abatement project notification in this module. So I'll just tell you one more thing. Any information you need, you always have this help file. If you click on help here, there are multiple topics. If you need to know how to schedule your inspection, you click on this. You will see the training manual that will guide you how to schedule a new inspection. You can save, download, or print. Similarly, how to update an inspection or cancel. So just keep in mind, inspection means we are talking about the schedule only, not the certificate. Certificate is different. So you need to make sure that inspection and certificate are different. So this is just the inspection certificate, and this is just about the inspection schedule. And this will show how to add a lead-free certificate, how to add full risk reduction, how to add modified risk reduction certificates to an inspection schedule, how to add different forms, how to add statement of work, abatement project, how to schedule a reinspection. And if you are having any lead-free certificate, and if you need to get a payment from the owner, I'll just show how to do that. And this is where I just showed how to print a certificate, right? On the certificate, I showed you a print certificate button. So this is the topic that will help you on how to download that inspection certificate. So in this module, those are the workflows that can be managed, from scheduling to rescheduling, and then to adding an inspection certificate and forms. And if there is any lead-free certificate, and if you are required to do any payment, like if the owner needs to do any payment for any lead-free certificate, you need to give that certificate number to the owner. So owner has to come, create this profile. They have to go to this payments module. And once they click on payments module as an owner, you'll see two tabs. One is related to the cases settlements, and one is related to the lead-free certificates. So as the owner, if you need to pay for a lead-free certificate, you click on lead-free certificates, and you need to enter the certificate number and search. When the owner searches for the certificate, owner can see the number of units that are the certificate applied to, and who is the inspector, what is the certificate status, who is the service provider. All the details will be displayed. And then if they scroll down, they can see how many units and processing fee per unit. So if there is only one unit, the total will be 1 into 10. And if it is initially unpaid, they will see a pay button, and it will be the same workflow where they will just continue to complete the payment. And once the payment is done, you will have access to print the certificate for a lead-free. If the payment is not done for that certificate, the print certificate button will not be activated for a lead-free certificate. So lead-free certificate, other than adding the supporting documents, you need to get the payment done. Until the payment is done, lead-free certificate will not have that button activated. So that is one additional logic which owner has to take care, or the inspector has to take care, that they cannot print this digital certificate, or this button will not be available until that payment is complete. So inspector is required to provide the certificate number, and owner or whoever is going to pay, they will come into the system, log in, go to the payments, go to that free certificates. They just enter the certificate that is needed to be paid. They search. They can verify the details if everything is right or wrong to continue to payment. And they will see a button called pay. And they can click on pay and complete the payment. So once it is successful, then only the print certificate will be activated. Then the inspector can download and provide it to the owner or whoever is responsible to receive that certificate. So all these details, as I said, is available in the help button. So any topic, if you need to study or go through again, you can always click that help button and go through the manuals. So this is what I plan to cover today, and now we can take the questions. And I think I saw there are several questions now that are posted. So we can start asking them one by one. Okay, the first question is from Rodney. Can we schedule out for 1 month now? You can schedule your inspection without any restriction. You can schedule even after 2 months. So we don't have any restriction. So I can select a property, I add inspection. Now I can select any date. I can even select a next year May. So there is no restriction. But one thing you need to know is if you schedule something for tomorrow, say for example 18th, you will be allowed to schedule for tomorrow, but you'll see a notification lapse here. So if it is within 24 hours, this flag will be set as yes. If it is not within 24 hours, it will be no. So if you see, I scheduled an inspection for today itself. So there is a lapse in scheduling. That's why it's yes. December 18 is about 24 hours, so there is no lapse. But yes, you can schedule in future. There is no limit from now. I hope I have answered that question. And,
okay, Bala, we have Deborah Payne has her hand raised. Deborah, would you like to ask a question?
I'm sorry, I think you answered my question.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
How about Harold Conway? Your hand is raised. You should be able to speak now.
Yeah. I had a question. I currently have a license as a risk assessor for Maryland. I've had it. I went to work for a contracting company. Now, I already have my lead supervisor license with the company, and they also have a lead license. Now, I'm going to have to apply for the other license as well for them to be able to, for the inspector portion, correct? For that same company? If I was to do any sort of inspection work?
Let me see if I understand your question. You currently are a supervisor accredited with that company that you work for.
Yes, and before I was accredited as a lead risk assessor with another company for 20 some years. And I was told to maintain my accreditations to this new company. They do not hold a contractor license for inspector.
Okay, so they would need to apply as an inspection contractor, and I think that this is a question better addressed by calling us.
Okay.
But yes, so if that contract, so you always have to have an inspector and a contractor together. So a contractor has to employ inspectors, and the inspector has to work for an inspection contractor. So if they're not accredited right now, they're going to need to apply, and so will you.
Yeah, and see that's the stick. See, what I want to do is I want to apply for it because I don't want to let my risk assessor license lapse.
Okay, so call our office,
Okay.
and we can assist you with what you need to know.
Okay.
Okay,
All right. Thank you.
you're welcome. Bala, do you want to take another question from the list?
Yes, so there is one question for a refresher visual inspector course. Is lead tech services still accredited with MDE? That I don't know. If you can answer it here.
Lead Tech Services is accredited with MDE. I can't list off all the classes that they have. You can get that list from our website, and you can certainly call Lead Tech. And we have another hand raised. Aaron Dittman, if you'd like to ask your question. You have to unmute yourself. I can't. Aaron, are you there? Okay, for some reason.
Okay,
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, there you go.
Okay, perfect. I was just wondering with the 24-hour notices, how important is it to every single time get that 24-hour notice? Because sometimes we have clients that change their mind last minute, and it's like, oh, I don't want the dust wipe inspection. I think we can go with the lead free. And then that's another 24-hour notice. So I don't know. I'm just wondering, do I have to tell that client, no, sorry, you can't change your mind last minute. We're going to have to wait another day?
So, Bala, you can assist with answering this question. So you can submit your notification. Yeah. If you think there's a chance that they're going to be lead free, I would submit it as a lead free. But when you actually issue the certificate, it can be assigned a different type of inspection. But it's really, really important that we get your notifications at least 24 hours ahead of time.
So,
okay, but if we think they're going to switch, then we should. I'm not understanding. So
let me repeat your question. Let me repeat your question so that I understand it right as well. So you said you scheduled one inspection, and owner has contacted you to do a different type of inspection. Am I right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and if you have to do that, and if it is happening within 24 hours, I would suggest one thing. Say, for example, you have scheduled one inspection, and owner said they don't want to do lead free, they want to do full risk reduction. Say, for example, my suggestion is to cancel that inspection and schedule a new inspection. Our other option is to change the inspection type. As if you change the inspection type, you are not getting that flag set because you already intimated, right? You already just selected that inspection. So inspection schedule is already there, that is already recorded. So you're just changing the inspection type. So the 24 notification lapse is not going to be affected because you already have the inspection schedule. You're just changing the inspection type.
Okay, so so even if we have a notification lapse, I'm not seeing that that's really affecting anything.
It's not going to affect you in any way. It's just for our records if there is any lapse. But for you as an inspector, it will not stop you to do any job.
Correct.
Okay.
That's really for MDE because it is in the regulations that you submit your inspection notifications 24 hours ahead of time.
Okay, so it sounds like if they're going to switch, we should go in and switch it instead of just canceling and creating a new one.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, and we have Any other hands raised?
Paul, I have unmuted you. I know that you've had your hand raised. If you have a question, please ask it.
Thank you very much. I took my class, my renewal class in September. So I would have to manually enter everything because this is a new system. Am I correct?
If you,
I would suggest that you submit your application now.
Submitted?
You took your class. Have you submitted your application?
No.
Okay. So I would I don't know when you expire, but I would, submit your application on paper right now.
Okay, on paper.
And then you can go in the system afterwards. We'll contact you probably.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And just to clarify that, once the system goes live, you can certainly apply online. But if you've already sent in a paper application, don't send in a second application.
and we already crossed the training time, so I hope we can adjust few minutes so that we can answer some questions. You're feel free to stay and just listen if you want.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Please ask your question, Mr. Smith.
Oh, okay. My question is, do we not use our old certificates anymore? Are these new certificates, this new way is what we're going to send to our clients? And number two, does everything have to be done in the portal? Once I do this inspection out in the field, can I upload my Form C, or does everything has to be entered? The data has to be entered.
So Becky, you want to take the first question?
Sure. So yes, everything will be done online eventually. There will be a little bit of a transition period where you're still going to be able to use your paper. However, we do encourage you to start using it online. And you will not be able to upload your Form C. You will have to enter the information online. Right, as it currently stands, there's a lot of mistakes that are made on the paperwork that we spend a lot of time fixing, that the system is going to help eliminate. So yeah, there'll be a slight transition period where you'll be able to use your paper, but also the system will be available immediately to you that you can transition over to it. But don't send paper and enter the same thing in the system. One or the other during the transition period. Cutoff dates will be coming out to everyone about, when we're going to no longer accept paper applications or paper certificates. Did I answer all your questions?
I hope yes. And shall we take some questions that are listed here? Do you know if you have any priority?
No, go ahead and just pick one, Bala.
Okay. So what should be done with 330 sets on hand once this goes into effect?
So I believe that question was already answered.
Okay. And what system do we use to search for MDE tracking number? So you have to search using this system. As I showed, if you need to schedule any inspection, you have to search for that property on this portal. And based on the results, you can identify and pick the right property which you are going to schedule the inspection. And how will the property owner get copies of certificate? So there are two ways. It's up to you. Like once you have the access to print the certificate, the digital certificate, you can email them or you can mail them by printing that certificate. So it's up to you how you want to communicate the certificate to the owner. And we will need to handwrite the diagram and then upload it. I think yes. Yeah, that's how you have to add the diagram of unit for now. Can an inspector add a SSW? That is, upload a scan doc received when that for that inspection. Attaching the scanned copies to a digital certificate is not recommended. I think the same question is asked for other forms, because as I said, print certificate button is already linked to the forms that are attached. So if you keep on uploading your physical scanned form C's, form B's, you will not get access to this button. So even if you have a physical copy, suggestion is to select that specific form and enter and re-enter and add that to the certificate digitally. So that would be the best way for you to upload those details. And same applies to SSW. It's better that supervisor goes into the system and add that SSW to the property. What if property fails? I don't know if I understood that question correctly. I will just skip it for now.
So
I can take that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Becky.
Okay, so the regulations and the way you do things isn't really changing. If a property fails, you still have to complete the certificate to issue a failing certificate. It just will be online instead of on paper. Hopefully that answered the question.
All right. The next question, when will the new system launch and when will we be not able to use the current forms? So I think that will be communicated through website and email. Maybe you have to record for that. And can a manager at the company fill all this information out, or does the actual inspector need to fill it? So if you are the inspector, you will have access to this file. If your employer also have that inspector contractor license, they can also go and upload only for the inspections they schedule. They cannot even see the inspections you schedule. So the inspections list you see here is the list that is created by you, scheduled by you. No one else can see your inspections other than MDE administrators. So only you have the rights to handle your certificate and your inspections. For a dust wipe inspection, how do you handle the failure and retest of a room? I don't know, Becky, can you answer that? For a dust wipe inspection, how do you handle the failure?
So I think the dust wipe, he's referring to the full risk reduction. And as Becky previously mentioned, there's no change in the regulations. So you're just doing it electronic. So you still have the same procedures that you need to follow with issuing that failed inspection certificate.
Correct. Or if they're able to have a vacuum and detergent wash the room within 30 days, you can perform a re-inspection of the failed room and submit a second Form C and diagram and lab report, just like you do now.
All right. Next question, will a 330 be issued on failed inspections? I don't know if that will help in any way. You can do that. As I showed you, I generated a failed inspection certificate. If that is needed, you can do that. You can generate a form 330 with a failed status. System will not stop you to do that.
Paula, could we take another hand raised question?
Yes.
Mr. Lee, would you like to ask your question? You have to unmute yourself.
Yes. The question I had was, I think someone actually already asked it and it's been answered. And it was as far as the certificates, we can email it to the client straight from the portal, straight from the software. Is there a place for us to put in there to send the email straight to the client?
Not from this portal. You cannot send from this portal. Only option is for you to download a copy and send it separately through your email.
Okay, just download it.
Yeah.
So we will not be. So will we still be ordering the paper certificates, or
No,
will
sir.
we just be generated numbers through the system here?
So as Becky previously stated, there will be information coming out informing you all when we will discontinue issuing the papers and when we will be asking you all to mail them back. So, you know, in the meantime, as she previously directed, you all can use them. And we strongly suggest that you move over to the electronic system in order to make your life a little bit easier. But as Bala previously has stated, you know, when you guys input this information, the certificate is readily available to you to download as the PDF. And for you to provide copies to your, you know, the property owner or tenant or what have you.
How soon can we get into the system and start working this? Do we have to wait until January, or can we start now?
No, so right now we're still in we're still in our testing phase. We're providing this training to you all and receiving feedback. However, early December will be the go live date, which that communication will come out to you all. Right now it's December the 6th that we're scheduled in order to go live with this system. And then, you know, you all can start transitioning into creating your permanent profiles and using the system.
Last question. Will I be able to access this later on this evening? Can I record this? I mean, can I go back over this as a PDF, this training, or once it's ended here, that's done?
So these sessions are being recorded, but I think that Katie or Becky can advise how it's going to be disseminated.
Okay, so in answer to that question, it will take at least 24 hours for this recording to process. Once it has processed, we will be contacting and getting it uploaded onto our MDE YouTube site, and that link will then be provided to Becky and her team. That then will be shared with all of you so that you can review the actual training and the entire recording.
Okay, so it'll be emailed to us probably within a day or two.
Within a couple of days, yes. So it depends on what the strain limit is on my contacts who actually process the YouTube videos for me. But we will make sure that you will get the URL to access it.
Okay, that's all the questions I had as of now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And let me take one question. What happens if you don't know if you're doing an XRF or full risk until you arrive at the property? So once you arrive at the property, you know what you have done, right? Based on that, you keep on, based on that, you generate the certificate, and based on that, you add the documents. You don't do these activities before you go to the property and complete the inspection. So these are the updates that you do after completing the inspection. So you should be having the information you need to generate this form 330 or inspection certificate and add the documents. So I hope that answers that question. This new form C is really helpful. Thanks. And what about RRP certs that the EPA may want? Becky, do you have any update?
I'm sorry, Val, I didn't understand the question. Can you ask it again?
What about RRP certs that the EPA may want?
Oh, we do not do anything with RRP, so I'm not sure what certs they're referring to. If you're doing dust sampling for RRP, you can give them dust sample reports. That's you do have to give us an inspection notification because you're collecting dust samples, but we don't collect any reports regarding RRP. And no certificates should be issued for RRP. And if you still have questions about that, please call our office.
All right. There is a hand raised, I guess. Let's see.
And Bala, one question that's been asked repeatedly, will people be able to access this now or on the go? Okay. And we'll share that
I did not
information.
post. Let me just quickly paste it here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So while you're pasting, this is the testing mode. So you can get in there and explore and set up profiles and try out things. But when we go live, you will have to do that again. This is not the official version, so don't go trying to issue certificates to people, you know, in real life. Because this is not the live database.
And Becky, another question that is constantly asked is in regards to the Form 330s. And guys, we have previously said that information will come out in regards to when we're going to stop issuing and when we're going to ask you all to mail them back. Until you receive that information, you all can use what you have on hand.
Okay. And Rodney has raised the question, raised the hand. So go ahead. Rodney Winstead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
My question is, I have two questions. I believe it says that we'll have to have a tracking number to notify MDE of an inspection coming up. A lot of times the client does not have a tracking number or is not familiar with it, or they say they'll have it and we go there and they're still working on it. So does that mean that we'll have to reschedule or we will not be able to schedule? Is one question. Second question is the certificates, the 330s that will be issued to inspectors, will they be sequential to that particular inspector, or will the numbers be all over the place to where the inspector may have questions, difficulties on tracking how many certificates he's actually done?
So first question is, even if there is no tracking number for that property, we are pulling the output from two systems. One is the rental registration and one is from the SDAT. If you don't find that property having a tracking number, you still be able to schedule based on the SDAT result. So you can still select that specific property from coming from the SDAT and schedule the inspection.
Okay, because at one time we were allowed to look them up, and then they stopped the inspector from being able to look up or help create a tracking number for clients that they had to go through their own portal with password. And sometimes people may have difficulties doing that on their own. So, but that's the nature of the beast. As long as we can schedule and give time for them to give us a tracking number, that's fine. My second question about sequential numbering of the certificates that the inspector will have.
So that is not specific to that specific inspector or user. This is generated all over in the whole system. So if there are 3 inspectors, those 3 will get a sequential visit. So it's not dedicated sequence for a specific inspector. So it could be jumping multiple based on the certificates that are generated in between.
All right.
All right. There is a hand raised by Matthew AB. I don't know if I am not seeing the order of people who are raising the hands, but sorry if I'm picking users as I see in the list. But go ahead, Matthew Abbey. All right, we'll just move on. Jennifer Billman.
Be live.
Hello.
I
Yes.
think Matthew came through.
When will this be live? You said you can play around now, but you're going to have to redo it when it's live. When is the expected live date?
Early December.
Okay, thank you.
And also, guys, we're going to be notifying you probably through, well, we're going to be notifying you through the bulletin. So it'd be important to make sure you're checking your email in the coming weeks.
All right. And next is thing called Jennifer Billman. You can go ahead with your question. All right, we'll move on. Janice Bowman. Hello.
Janice, you're unmuted. You may speak.
Okay, I think we'll move on. Harold Conway.
Hey, yeah. My question is for, will there be an exterior waiver form available on this site? I know that your county, individual county or inspector, or the county actually provides the waiver notification, but there is a form that has to be filled out. Is that form available on the list of forms already on this program?
If you're talking about county required forms, no.
Okay.
You will indicate on the Form C or the certificate whether or not it's being issued with a winter waiver.
Okay.
And then populate, the contact name, or you can upload the form.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let me take some questions listed here. Do we bill our clients through this portal? If they don't pay us, what if they don't pay us? So for lead-free certificates, as I showed you, you can give the certificate number and ask the owner and complete the payment here. If the payment is not successful, no one will have access to that certificate.
So yeah, you can't bill your client through this system. The money that you and your client are, that's a contract between you and your client. So, we don't involve ourselves in that.
All right. With lead-free, we are now uploading the XRF results. I think yes, right? For lead-free, we upload the XRF, right?
Yeah, we have not changed the regulations to require the XRF results with the certificate. However, MDE might request them from you. However, you can certainly upload them if that makes saving your documents easier.
All right. Zvi Polak, you can go ahead with your question. Zvi Polak. All right, we'll move on. Tab Lee, you can go ahead with your question.
Paula, can we go back to Zivik Pollock, please?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Wasn't unmuted. I think you can
Thank
speak now.
Yeah, I got it. Well, how does the client, how do they have access to this portal as well?
Owners, they can create a profile in this portal. Yes, anyone can create a profile.
Okay, thank you.
And anyway, as I said, the dashboard access to specific tiles is completely based on the role you have in the system. So, all right, and Tab Lee. I don't hear anything from Tab Lee.
Yourself muted.
Okay. The question was, how can we go into this? How do we get into the system to mess around with it until it goes live?
I provided the URL in the chat. You can straight away go ahead and play and try to work it out.
How will I access it?
If you
How do we access it?
Can you copy the URL out of the chat and just paste it into a web browser?
Tab, I just posted in the messages the training URL. That's how you would log in.
Okay, it's in the it's on your website, or
No, sir, it's in the chat.
it's in the email that we got from you originally.
No, sir, they just posted it in the chat. So under this platform, if you go to the chat, you will see the link.
I'm posting it into the questions. Do you see it in there? Tab?
I have no access to anything. Just the right now I'm just looking at the home page, I guess, the dashboard.
So so there's kind of like a little icon in this webinar. I don't know how your screen is set up, but if you see something at the bottom of your screen that says chat, if you click on the chat, you will see the URL because I'm currently looking at it now.
Does it look like a heart?
No, sir.
Tab, on your dashboard, you should see an option where it says questions. Expand that, and then you will see the question with the training URL in it.
Thank you so much, Katie.
You're welcome.
It looks different on my end. My apologies.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Do you see questions?
I still don't see it.
We will make sure that you get a copy of that URL.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll mute now.
Yeah, there is one question I would like to attend here from Rodney. If our clients can see the results, we do not have any power to collect once passed. So clients, if you mean the owners, they will not have access to this tile at all. Only inspectors and supervisors will have access to it. So your clients will not have access to see all the details or the forms or information you add to that inspection. So as I said, the tiles you see on your dashboard is completely based on the role you have. So you don't need to worry about that. Yeah. If a owner or a property owner creates a profile, as that owner will not have any existing license of inspector or supervisor, they will not have access to this tile. Okay, next question I'll take is, will we be penalized if once in a blue moon we have inspections with less than 24-hour notice? Becky?
Could you repeat that, Paula?
Will we be penalized if once in a blue moon we have inspections with less than 24-hour notice?
Why
it is
why is it impossible to tell the client that they have to wait until the next day? I mean, we don't generally penalize for once in a blue moon, but we get a lot of notifications that are the same morning of, which is not 24 hours, obviously. I mean, so this is part of the issue that, people are, I need an inspection today. Well, you need to get a tracking number and we can do the inspection tomorrow.
All right. And one question about the payment for lead-free certificate. If you can get the payment from the owner separately, as an inspector, you can also go and do the payment on behalf of the owner. As an inspector, you can go to payments, you can search for that certificate, and you can complete the payment. Only thing is you need to make sure you have the right certificate number and right details, and you can complete the payment on behalf of that owner. So system will not say that only owner can come and do the payment. There is no restriction like that. All right. I'll take few more questions. Though the home daycare applicants are, I think there is a continuity in the question. But anyway, I'll just move on. If a client wants lead-free for informational purposes only, is there a way to mark that in this system? Or will it be just assumed by not having a certificate made? I don't know if we have that scenario handled, Vicky. There's a question from Amanda. I'm not sure if you're on mute, so I'll just try to answer it later.
Okay, so if a client wants lead-free for informational purposes only, is there a way to mark that in this system? Or will it just be assumed by not having a certificate made? So it will be assumed or followed up on by not having a certificate. Yeah. And then, of course, you have to provide them with, the HUD report, HUD guideline report for that. Yeah, so we understand that not every lead-free inspection will result in a certificate.
All right. And next question, what is the document retention on the website portal? Is it 5 years?
Per regulations, the inspection documents, the contractors or inspection contractors need to keep for 5 years.
All right. And what do we do about daycare inspections? Inspectors and MDE personnel are telling homeowners to use MDE 330 certificates.
The same thing you do now. Nothing's changing. You still need to notify us of an inspection. Depending on whether or not it's a regulated property, an affected property depends on whether or not you issue a certificate. If you have questions about daycares and don't understand what I just said, please call our office.
Next question, do we have to release the certificate if they don't pay? As I mentioned, if the payment is not done, you will not have access to even print that certificate. So payment is one prerequisite for you to get access to the certificate.
Correct, and you're required by regulation to submit the certificate to the property owner and MDE within 10 days of receiving the laboratory results or performing the inspection, whether it's passing or failing. How you arrange payment with your client is up to you.
There are currently 4 copies of 330 forms, and if I understand you correctly, the new system will generate only 1 PDF. Does the property owner still need to provide a copy to the tenant?
Yes, they do. It just won't be pink anymore.
Yeah. And I think we answered almost all questions.
Yeah, could we take one more hand raise?
Yes. Yeah.
And then I think we're gonna have to call it a day on the questions.
Yes.
I think I'm looking to see like somebody that's had their hand up for a while. And we haven't called on them. How about Mr. Oh, nope, they just lowered their hand. Okay.
I think there is one question, Becky. I don't know if we answered it. What should be done with 330 certs on hand once this goes into effect?
Okay, we did answer that.
Okay.
The department, we are going to be sending out information to you about what the cutoff dates are. For now, you can continue to use the certificates that you have. And when you get the information about the cutoff dates, we will probably ask you to send them back to us. But for now, you don't have to do anything until we tell you what the cutoff dates are.
All right.
And Becky, Kate has mentioned Mr. Burton King. I think he has had his hand up for some time.
Sorry, Burton. Please go ahead.
I'm gonna call on him and his hand went down. So, okay. Mr. King, do you have a question?
Yes, but how do we unmute?
I have unmuted Mr. King and he may speak.
Okay, what we want to know is the diagrams that we make of the inspected property and the lab results. Will we be uploading them to this site?
Yes.
And there'll be a place for that in the system?
In the system, in the certificate. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
And
Becky, you want to answer other questions that are listed here separately and share it, or you want to continue?
Yeah, no, we'll try to answer questions offline. So basically, I think that will conclude the presentation for today. Any questions that didn't get answered, we will try to provide answers to you. Also, there's the help buttons in the database itself. And by all means, go and experiment in the system now before it goes live. If you have any other questions, or if you need the URL, you can send an email to our generic account, which is mde.lppp@maryland.gov.
All right.
Contact, or
did the closing notes. Sorry, Becky. Go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. I was just going to say, does anybody need to make a closing remark?
No, I was going to say thank you all, both staff, both coordinators, our contractors, and then you all, the third party community for attending this training. We hope it, is informative. It was informative to you all. We hope you're excited and to move from paper to electronic. And then if you have any questions, as Becky just indicated, please email us at the email address that was provided to you. And we thank you so much for sitting in this 2-hour training with us.
Thanks,
Thank you very
everyone.
much. Thanks. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. I'm ending the webinar.
Thanks.
Bye, Kate.
Bye.